All right, says we are streaming live on YouTube. Welcome everyone to Goddess Vibrations, a spiritual sexual empowerment show. I'm super excited. I have a new guest today. We've got Rom Wills. He's a men's coach. Actually, Rom, why don't you tell people who you are and what your claim to fame is?
Well, I'm Rom Wills. I'm a writer. That's my main thing. And I write all sorts of stuff, self-development books, but also write fiction as well. But people know me for the self-development books. My main thing is men's empowerment, but also do some stuff for women's empowerment as well. And my whole thing is really about evolution, evolving, men and women becoming the best versions of themselves. So even in my fiction, my books are towards that goal. I call it edutainment. So the thing is, it's all about just growing to the best person you can be. I mean, that's everything in a nutshell. So
Amazing. And sometimes people have to hear it through fiction or a nice story to actually be open to it. So I think that's brilliant that you're doing it that way as well. And
oh,
so, yeah.
exactly. Because that's all. Like I have one book. It's called Starting from Zero. It's about a guy really going all the way down to zero, but building back up. And then another book, fiction book called Those Eyes, and then even a science fiction novella called The Sankophans. So that's the fiction side. But on the self-development side for men, I have a book. My claim to fame, my international bestseller, is called Nice Guys and Players: Becoming the Man That Women Want.
Mm,
Because there's an imbalance out here. You have some guys, they more on the player side, some guys more on the nice guy side. But on a deeper level, a man needs to be balanced between those, because on the surface we see the guy running game and he's aggressive, but then we see the other guy, he's being nice, but he's being more passive.
mm,
But all of everything in life comes down to a balance between yin and yang, no
mhm,
matter what, light and dark, hot and cold. So on a surface level, it looks like I'm saying, hey, be that nice player.
mhm.
Not really, but on a surface level, but on a deeper level, it's becoming balanced within yourself. So that's why, I'm honored that you had me on the show, because now I can go deeper. Because sometimes you can't go deep with people. I hate to say that because they might not be ready. Some
Right.
people are, but some aren't. So I introduce them. Then when they say, hey, wait a minute, Rom, something else is here. Ah, because what's ironic, because you have whole industries out here telling men how to get women with
Mm,
all these tricks and like
mm,
ABC. And my thing is just be yourself, be in a certain state of being. Because when people let go of the artificial stuff, they'll find not only are they their best selves, but they'll meet the right mate for them just living life.
mhm.
And that's ultimately where I want all men and women to go. I mean, from the moment we're born, think about it, spirit from the moment we born already has it set the type of mates we'll attract
Right.
and the type of situations we'll be in. And it'll be the perfect mate for you.
Mhm.
You allow it. It'll be the mate that will help you out on your spiritual mission.
Mm,
But we live in the machine culture, so everybody do all this artificial stuff.
mm,
Oh, that woman's nine. That guy's a high value man who's making all this money, and I'm like, okay, all that's artificial. The right
mm,
person for you might not be like that beauty queen or that rich man,
mm,
but you get with that person. Like if a man gets with that woman who might be plain on the surface, but her beauty comes out when she's with him. And
mm.
then if he's talking about success, that'll be his muse right there, his inspiration. And then when they grow together, when they come together, then they move forward as one. That's how it's supposed to be. But see, we have too much artificial means of relating out here, which is why we have the relationship problems that we do.
Mhm.
So my thing is let it go, because ironically, okay, my book Nice Guys and Players, you got this big industry, man gets woman and everything. I've had people, well, men in particular, get mad at me. They say, Rom, you didn't give any techniques in here. You didn't give any tricks. You didn't give any pickup lines.
Mm,
It's like, yeah, I did. You don't need it. you don't need it, because if a person's themselves and they're natural, they will actually meet the people they click with. They don't have to think of what to say. It's all going to flow naturally. And that's the biggest single thing, is letting go of all that artificial relating. That's the biggest single thing. And in both, because I have first nice guys and players, that's the base, but then I have the follow-up to that, which is called sexual chemistry. That gets in more into sexual expression, but anyone reading it will say, oh wait, he's going deep.
Mm-hmm.
He's going deep into it. And then even for the men, I have meeting attractive women, because let's be real, men want to meet the dimes and everything, but
Mm-hmm.
that goes deep. Like everything I have is going deep, even if people don't realize it. And it's all about becoming the man becoming the best version of himself. And also have something for the ladies called Finding the Right Man. And I'm going deep in that too, in the sense of saying, become your natural self. Because here's the thing. Most people out here are wearing masks.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are wearing masks. Most people have counterfeit personas. A counterfeit persona is basically the defense mechanism we adopted at some point in our life when we went through a trauma. That's pretty much everybody. And then our vision, while our mission is to get those artificial things off.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, people have different levels. And the more we do that, we find the more our life is going better. It's more peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
We'll find, and if I just focus just on relationships, we'll find that our relationships become better. You run into that person that you just click with, and it's a natural feeling. You feel it in your spirit. That's my ultimate thing. That's my ultimate thing. You have any questions? Because I'll talk for a while. I do lectures and
I
stuff.
have a ton of questions already,
Okay.
comments and questions, and also wanted to say Kirti is joining live too. She visits me. She's on the show with me every other week, but she said, beautiful people. And she says, I love that, Unc. Sometimes you got to trick the tricks.
Yeah.
So that's from Kirti.
How you
And
doing, sweetie?
yeah, and my question actually is, I'm trying to get my screens right here. Let me see, hang on just a second so I can see all of these comments as well as the screen.
Okay.
Hold on. Is that going to work?
It will.
Let's see. Well, it doesn't want to get smaller, but I will just try to flip back and forth. Okay. So yeah, my comment, first I have a comment about your book, From Zero to Hero. You said, I think what a great—
Starting from zero.
Starting from zero. Okay. What a great message during these COVID times. I'm sure you wrote it well before COVID, but I think I saw a little video on your Instagram page talking a little bit about that. It was really inspiring to me. My income's been affected quite a bit this year with the lockdown and the pandemic and everything. And of course, even as a woman who's predominantly feminine energy, I use a lot of my masculine energy when I'm working or when I'm building my business or creating income or marketing myself and that sort of thing. So I think for, like you were saying, your work probably can be really helpful for women too, when we need to put on more of that masculine energy hat. Yes. And not stop being so nice, or don't be people pleasers and actually go get the bag or whatever it is that's the opportunity that's right there, right? Without being an asshole too. Because also I feel like women are sometimes perceived as aggressive when they do the things that men do. So there's a subtlety and a balance there with us. And then the other comment / question that I had is, there's got to be also some kind of intersection of this from zero. What did you say the title was again? Starting from zero. Yeah. Starting from zero. So that and this attraction and magnetism, because whether you're attracting a partner or you're attracting a client or you're attracting a business collaboration or whatever, you're kind of using that same energy. And you said that you go deep, and so these concepts are universal. We can go as deep as you want to go here. I'm a very deep person too. This YouTube channel is set up to have these deep conversations that not everybody's having, so people have a good source to come to for the real talk. And then I'm wondering that the the piece of, I'm wondering how many men you work with and how many men maybe you experience out in the world are actually not aware of that aspect of a woman, that she can actually create his wealth. Because I feel like there's so many men that feel like they have to be financially stable or financially set or already have the money, and then they have that, and then they go onto the dating apps and they look for, like you said, the beautiful woman. They don't care what her education is, they don't care like how old she is or whatever, they just want a beautiful woman that makes their life that they already set up look good, right? And so it's that surface level that you're talking about. But I wonder how many men actually realize that finding the right match, finding the right chemistry, finding that woman that can be a muse, can actually help you build your wealth along the way, so that you're growing together. And so I'm just curious what you're seeing, what you're noticing, because you're getting the real talk. I'm dealing a lot with the women who are telling me about their bad dates.
Well, here's the thing. Most men don't get it. But see, when my message goes out to, I say, the masses, they hear me talk about the body game, getting your body together, getting your health together. That's a base level, which is really just activating your root chakra. 70, really. And that's a base level. And they get that. But it's still, there's another group, smaller group, that they understand the power of women and really uniting with a creative woman that supports them. Because a mature man, even if he's not into metaphysics or anything, he realizes that women, y'all bring peace. Y'all bring us peace. We realize that y'all enhance something. If we buy a house, y'all enhance it and make a home. If we bring y'all some food and everything, you make it a meal. So that's your nature. And we have to let you do y'all job. We have to let y'all bring y'all peace. Unfortunately, a lot of guys don't see that. They are going to go out here and make all this money, and then they just want to get a pretty woman. But then they miss everything else. That's why you have so many situations where a man might get a trophy, but then he's still missing something.
Right.
So the thing is, at the base, when men and women interact with each other, they really men are interacting really with the feminine within them, and women are interacting with the masculine within them. See, before we're born, we're both in the spirit world. But on this planet, well, yeah, you have some exceptions, but for the most part, we can only be born into a male or female body. And then subconsciously, we suppress that other that other part of us, but we still need it. So that other part of us is called a sexual id, or called Jung.
That's my guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He talks about the anima and the animus.
Yeah.
So one of the things is we need that other part of us to really go through life. So when men are looking for a woman on a natural basis, subconscious, even if they don't realize it, they really looking for their inner feminine. And women are really looking for their inner masculine. But the bottom line is we need that. We need that. Even in our relationships that are same sex, one side is more masculine, has a more masculine energy. Another side has an energy that's more feminine. That's a universal thing. We need that. Because you have you have women. Okay, say a woman is really in her feminine. She still needs that masculine energy to bring a certain order. And then the man in his energy, which he's bringing order, he still needs the energy that y'all bring, the creativity. And that's the natural thing. But we live in what a mentor would call the machine culture. Indeed, he has stated that that's how spirits see this culture. Everything is a 0 and a 1. Everything is a mass. Everything is numbers. It's like, oh, how much money they making? What's their measurements? What number is their sexual market value? Are they a 10? All this stuff is artificial. But what we have to do is get more into spirit. Our spirit already knows the right person for us. Look, it's funny. Okay, say you get a guy. He's looking for, Miss Supermodel of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But then, and he got the money, he got all of this, he might even date her. But then he runs into that woman who, by societal standards, is more of a plain Jane. Notice I said by societal standards. Remember what I said there. He runs into her, but all of a sudden he just clicks with her. He just feels comfortable. All of a sudden he's opening up to her that he hasn't opened up to the last 6 supermodels he's dated. That's because she's right for him. And then if he were to remove the artificial stuff, the so-called plain Jane is a beauty queen to him. It's beauty. Because once people look at each other, get past all the artificial stuff, really see the spirit in somebody, they look great. I mean, you feel it. I mean, have you ever, in your past, have you ever met a man who might not have been like, that tall, hunky stud, but you just felt good with him?
For sure. Absolutely.
And I've had that with some women because I ignore what the rest of society wants. Because see, when we really click with somebody, when we truly click with somebody, they just feel right. And everything feels good. You just feel that comfort. It's like, it's right there. So it's like, well, let me get into the concept of a soulmate. There's never one soulmate. Everybody has several soulmates, but that person who clicks with you in that moment, they just resemble your id. They have what's needed. Sometimes it might be a short-term relationship, but that's what you needed for spiritual growth. Sometimes it might be a long-term relationship. That's what you needed. But the thing is what you need. And if we get rid of the artificial side, we can find it. Like and let me segue into the title of this: becoming from a nice guy to a masculine master. What did you call the title?
From nice guy to masculine magnetism.
Okay.
And what you're saying is a lot of the magnetism you were already born with. It's they have a certain match. I love what you're saying too, because you bring up Carl Jung, and then Carl Jung was also very into astrology. And so I don't know if you know much about astrology, but the Venus and Mars signs are kind of like your masculine, feminine expressions. When you said you're actually looking for that, me as a woman, I guess I'd be looking for that masculine version of me, or my partner be looking for that feminine version of him. My partner and I both have Venus and Aries. So that totally makes sense, where his idea of the perfect feminine is what I was actually, the star I was born under. So that's a compliment.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. Now, unfortunately, we don't live in that type of society. Now, if we talk about nice guys, what you find with the nice guys is they actually suppress their fire, not through any fault of their own, but through numerous factors extending through childhood, sometimes extending through their bloodline. So they're not bringing their fire up as much. They're not being calm, because the thing is, if they were to bring out more of their masculine energy, more of their fire, they'll find they'll attract the compatible women to them extremely easy. Extremely
we'll
easy.
say more about how you define their fire, because I think I know what you're referring to, but for those guys that are like kind of new to all this stuff, tell them what their fire is.
Well, the fire is just the natural masculinity. Natural masculinity is active. It's aggressive in a positive way. It's assertive. It protects those associated with it. Imagine the atom. Imagine the atom. Are we getting a feedback here?
I'm not, but are you hearing an echo?
Yeah, as long as it's not on here, I can deal with it.
Okay.
If you don't hear it, that's cool. All right, so the natural masculine, imagine an atom. Okay, you have that dot in the middle, and then you have the dot going around. That's the masculine. The female, the feminine, is that dot in the middle. The masculine is the one going outside of it. The masculine takes action. The masculine protects. The masculine sees ahead. The masculine provides. The masculine heals. It's all active. That's the main thing. With many nice guys, and I mean true nice guys, not the fake me out ones. Some guys fake like they're nice. I'm talking about the true nice guys. They got a peaceful nature, but they don't have that fire that truly ignites a woman, that she'll feel on a sexual level. See, one other problem we have in the society is sex has been perverted in the sense of we don't see the total value of it. It's more than, I mean, it's pleasure, of course, but it's also energizing, it's also bonding. But, you know, we got all this porn and all this other stuff out here. So that's messing it up. But that's part of it. And when a man and woman connects, their energies are connecting. But if the man's energy isn't masculine, if he doesn't have that fire, that activity, the woman's not attracted. Even if she might even think he looks attractive. She probably likes him, but she's not feeling him on a deep level.
He's not bringing it.
No. So for the nice guy, his biggest thing is to bring that fire up. Bring that fire up, get more active. Like on my base level, I talk about the body game. I talk about working out and everything. But it's more than just the aesthetics of it. It's about developing that discipline. When a man works out, when he engages in resistance training, or he can engage in calisthenics, or he could take martial arts, he's being active.
Which is also boosting testosterone too.
Yes, boom. Yeah, because like tomorrow is leg day for me. It increases my testosterone.
Yep.
And that's the thing. But, you know, usually when I talk about it for the masses, I'm saying, oh, yeah, get those muscles. But they not see it. But then some other people will say, oh, wait a minute, I'm doing all this. I'm being more aggressive. I'm being more assertive. That's the thing. That's the thing. But if I'm going to talk about one side, I got to talk about the other side. Because there's a point here. Now, you have the other side where you have some men, they too aggressive. Their fire is burning. These are the type of guys you might not want your daughter to date these guys. Their fire is too much. They can be controlling, too dominant. They the type that grab the woman and say, you stay in the house, you serve me, you don't do anything else. Now, yeah, he'll take care of like the basics and stuff, but it's too aggressive. Or you might get the guy got to chase every female that he sees without caring about her mental health or her spiritual health. Well, definitely not spiritual health. So that's too much fire. So you have two sides. And this affects women too. You got the more yin side, the ultra yin side and the ultra yang side. Now, ultimately, the nice guy, the more yin side is important. They bring much to the table. But then the fire side, the more yang side, is also important. So ultimately, and this is actually a little thing that very astute people pick up about my book, Nice Guys and Players. The nice guy represents yin, the player represents yang. But the goal in Nice Guys and Players is to become balanced between the two. Because all human beings have that yin and yang within them, within their sexual nature and everything. The more balanced you become between the two, the more you can attract the right mate to you. That's where the magnetism come in. Because, okay, like ladies, when y'all see a man, yes, you like that player one, that exciting one. He's outgoing, he's protected, got that young energy. Y'all dancing, y'all like feeling good. But, you know, he might not be the best for the other stuff you need, the emotional stuff. Now, the other guy, he's great for the emotional stuff, but he's like your brother. So if a man can bring them both together, boom. And the women as well. If you can bring, because for y'all, the more yin side, you make a good mother, great friend, and all of that, but might not excite the man in such a sexual manner. Then you have the other women, shoot, they got that more fire energy in them. Shoot, they driving the men crazy, but they might not be good moms though. You might not want to have kids with them. So the more balanced you are, the more that women will excite the man. And I'm just throwing that in there. We're gonna focus on this one. The more balanced a man is, the better. So, and you know, and I'm gonna tell you something that's interesting. Over the years, some of my biggest clients, like direct clients, because I do coaching. I don't advertise it, but if somebody reach out to me, I'll say, oh, okay. I've found that they the ones who have the fire, but they trying to get it under control. So I teach them discipline. I say, okay, Because I had one guy, he's very interesting. He called me out. Had 15 women. I was like, okay, all right, well, you gotta cut, yeah, 15. And I was like, okay, well, you gotta cut that down. After some coaching, this guy, he was able to cut down. He hasn't cut down totally. Let's just be honest. He hasn't cut down totally, but maybe down to 3 or something. But he's put that energy into other things. He's become more balanced. And he's worked on a lot of projects, completed a lot of projects. I don't know if he wants his name called in this. I'll leave that out, but he's written several books in the sense I've coached him in other artistic projects. So that's the thing. But that's their side. But the other side with the nice guys, because I see a lot of nice guys. And see, one of the things is we live in a culture that doesn't encourage men to really develop that fire. It doesn't really encourage it, and especially in particular the nice guys. They told, oh, you're great, you're all right, keep it like that. But then they notice that the woman that they really have some feelings for is stomping all over them to get to that guy who has the fire. So the thing is, the nice guy has to really develop his fire within. And, first start with just working out, getting into his body, bringing that fire up and then controlling it. Because that's the key thing. Some men might bring it up too fast or do something, but then it's a little out of control. The ultimate goal for a man is to be like a flamethrower. You have that flame, but you can control it. You can point it.
That's a great metaphor. And it kind of reminds me of a question that Kirti asked. And I wanted to say to anybody else that wants to put questions in, feel free. I'm kind of looking down every once in a while to see. She asked, what is a high value man? Because I think in the beginning you mentioned a high value man. And I think what you were referring to is kind of societal standards of a high value man. But what is, like, if we're taking the deep perspective, what's a high value man?
I'm gonna tell you what, I can't take a deep perspective on that because that's a totally Western machine culture thing. Talking about the numbers and stuff, how much money is in their bank account. Money is a tool, it's a currency, it's an energy. That doesn't speak to, you have some evil men in this world who make a lot of money. And that doesn't speak to their spirit, their character. I mean, if I was going to use the term a true high value man, in my view, is a man of high spiritual value, had high spiritual gifts and power, who is actively impacting the lives of those that he touches. That's my version. That's a true, that's, and it doesn't have to be a spiritual leader. It could be a gentleman who's a janitor at a high school, but all the students look to him for advice. That's high value. It could be someone who starts a business and employs several people and affects the quality of their lives. That's high value. Unfortunately, in this society, we have people saying a high value man is that millionaire or something. Okay, they have money. So what? Money is an energy. It comes and goes. There's people who've made a lot of money, then they lost it. And there's people who made a lot of money, their character hasn't changed. Because it's artificial. Money's artificial. If you take out that dollar bill, you look at it, you see a president on there that's no longer living. What does it do? It can't wiggle out your hand. If you put it on the floor and step on it, it can't wiggle away. And it's still an idea. And now, with electronic, if you think about it, some people don't even need dollar bills. You just need that card. You just need that card. So it's a number on a computer. That doesn't make a person valuable. That just means they have money. Money is a tool. So it's important that people have spirit.
Yeah.
How spiritually powerful? How many people are they affecting every day? That's my idea of a high value man or a high value woman.
It's like, how much value do you bring? That's the definition of a high value. And it's so funny that you mentioned the example of a janitor at a high school, because I used to work at a high school, actually several high schools, as a mental health therapist. And the janitor is a lovely gentleman named Hess, who was the highlight of my day most days when I was working in my office, because he saw that I had like these inspirational quotes and whatnot on my desk. And so he would leave me things that he
Oh,
would
okay.
print out from Google or whatever, inspirational things or positive phrases or thoughts or whatnot. And he didn't, he didn't take up too much of my time by wanting to chat all day long. But every
Mhm.
time he came to visit and empty my trash or whatever else, he would leave me a little something on my desk, or, some positive words. And those sort of interactions, I mean, that is, you're bringing so much value to people, not only doing
Yes.
his job, but also bringing this beautiful energy. And especially to a therapist who's there helping the kids, and
Mhm.
we're pouring into them, and then you got the janitor pouring into us, and that's, I think, a beautiful, beautiful thing.
And no, and it is. And see, people don't realize, regardless of your spiritual path, deity, God, Allah, Shango, the Great Pumpkin, regardless of your deity, there's people on earth who are angels, earth angels, and
Mm-hmm.
they're placed where they need to be placed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always like as like some big famous person. It could be somebody in a poor neighborhood that's providing food for poor kids who would need otherwise, and
Mm-hmm.
guidance.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a sports coach.
Mm-hmm.
It could be somebody doing a Zoom TV interview, a Zoom interview on YouTube.
Like we're doing right now.
Yes, yes, exactly. I mean, because just what you're doing, that's providing value for many people, especially many women. They need to see a woman who is really getting into her femininity, her goddesshood,
Mm-hmm.
her power. We need that. And
Mm-hmm.
not according to the machine culture.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's very important. So that's value to me. Money, making money, what's money? What's money?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll say this, I ain't just saying this to brag. I actually make money, a lot of money, but I live way below my means, because at the end of the day, I was looking at it, it was like, and this was years ago. I was like, okay, bills paid. All right, I'll just let it grow until I really need to buy something major,
Mm-hmm.
because it didn't change my character. I'm the
Mm-hmm.
same person. I noticed when I wasn't making as much money, I'm the same person I was as I am now.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been thinking, okay, what can I do to help? What can I do to help? In fact, I could have made a lot of money, coming up, from educational background and everything. But I say, no, I can't do that for a living. I don't feel right. My spirit don't feel right with that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. That's the value. That's true high value. That other thing, I'm like, okay, yeah. And plus, I'm gonna tell you what, because you have a lot of men who want to say, well, I'm making all this money. Unfortunately, we can talk about the men doing wrong, but you have a lot of women who will use those men for that money,
Mm-hmm.
and just see them not as a human being, not as a spirit, but as an ATM. How's that good? So you got two people
Mm-hmm.
basically using each other for some artificial things, and really on a spiritual level, they shouldn't be in the same room.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, that I would say that's the biggest complaint that I hear from men being objectified is
Mm-hmm,
on that emotional level, women using them as an ATM or using them for a
mm-hmm,
free dinner or
mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. Like, even trying to like suss out women on apps who are literally just looking for dinner and they
Yes.
don't intend to go out again. And so the men are like, oh, it's too expensive to date. And then they start to pull back,
Mm-hmm.
their resources, and then they appear stingy too. So there's an interesting give and take happening there. And then the other way that I see men objectified, or hear about men being objectified, and more so in the sexual way, and it's more specific, I think, to Black men, is being used sexually as a third to a couple, or things like that. And
Ooh.
and I, whenever I hear this from Black men, I'm like, was that a white couple by any chance? Did
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
what,
yeah.
how'd you know? And and this culture being, I think, promoting hypersexuality in men, it's not always apparent, or it's not always apparent when a woman's using a man as a ATM machine. These things aren't really apparent until there's like this icky feeling later on, like, something doesn't feel right here. But
Yeah.
those are the two things that I hear the most, I think, from
Okay.
clients and friends.
Well, with the money thing, men have to realize, and this is something, ironically, I didn't learn this metaphysically. I just learned this being around some street players. Don't lead with your wallet. If the lady doesn't like you, if you got to use money to impress the lady, you don't need to be with her.
Mm-hmm.
I keep my wallet in my pocket. I'm like, we need to get to know each other. Let's talk.
Mm-hmm.
Not spend money on something. Let's talk. And if my thing has always been, if the woman wasn't interested in that, oh, we got to go to dinner and stuff, I say, okay, we're not compatible. Because I want to talk with you. If we're talking, we could do that in a park.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I keep that in. That's actually kept me out of trouble.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, one time I ain't had the money to spend anyway, so I had to. So I was like thankful for that. So that's the thing. So if a man doesn't want to be seen as an ATM, keep his money in his wallet
Mm-hmm.
and stop putting out that energy. Because if a man's thinking, oh, I'm about my money, he's actually putting out an energy to draw that to him.
Right.
But if he's thinking, I want to know the woman on a different level, let's
Mm-hmm.
go deep on this. He will actually carry himself. His spirit will actually change and put out a broadcast for women who actually want to get to know him.
Mm-hmm.
See, so if a man wants to solve that, he has to do it within. He can't complain about the women. Only thing all those women who were using him for money had in common was him. So he has to change within himself. Keep that money in his wallet. He might not go out with 10 women in a month. He might go out with 2, but these are 2 women who genuinely love him, want to get to know him. In fact, it could be one woman who could be his future wife.
Mm-hmm.
And then y'all come together, you still got that money, then y'all can start building stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if she being a right woman, she will help you build it. And also she being a right woman, she has some plans, she has some ideas. He got the money to truly help her.
Mm-hmm.
So these 2 are helping each other.
Mm-hmm.
But see, for a man to get to that point, he has to leave, he has to get the money out the equation. Put the money in his savings and invest in this stuff. Just build the money. Don't interact with the woman based on how much money he has, but interact on what spirit she has. And even for the sexual part, I know about that cuckolding and all of that. A man has to exercise some discipline. He can still have a high sex drive. Rom has a high sex drive, but he has to say, wait a minute, I'm not going to be used like this.
Mm-hmm.
He has to see his penis is viable.
Mm-hmm.
He has to see it. Because they cannot put a gun to his head and say, hey, have sex with my wife. Or even if it's not a cuckold situation, have sex with just random women. He still has a choice. He has a choice. They ain't forcing him.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I teach those type of men. See, as men, I mean, women too, but we're talking about men now. As men, we have to take responsibility for our lives and our decisions. Like one thing on my YouTube channel, I don't talk. There's a lot of YouTube channels that's always talking about women, women, women. I'm like, the most I say about women is deal with a quality woman. And I've actually had guys mad at me, say, you ain't talking about these women out here. It's like, because we have a choice. We develop ourselves. That actually impacts the women who even going to find us attractive, who going to be around us. We have a choice. As men, we got to take responsibility for that. So these men out here feel like the women being used. Okay, change some stuff so that's not the case. Whether it's for money or is it for sex, a man has a choice. See, one of the things as men, we have to stand up and be men. Y'all don't hold a gun to our heads. Most women are not physically stronger than the average man. And I don't care what I don't care how, a woman can be drop dead gorgeous. A man has the choice of how he's going to deal with it. So he can't say, well, she forced me. I was like, how she forced you? She got a gun in her hand? No. And yeah, she fine. Yeah, she got everything standing at attention. But you still have a choice in that matter. And if this woman, like if I deal with a woman, I don't care what she look like. I don't care how enticing she is. I'm looking beyond. I'm like, okay, so what can she really bring me? And can she make me into a better person? It's her presence bringing me a certain peace, a certain fulfillment. And not because she's stroking my ego, but I just feel good around her. I feel like, you know what, this is right. It's an effortless click. That's important. And it's tough. And I ain't gonna lie, I've had to learn this over the years. I was young once, I was a knucklehead once.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to tell men not to do that. It's like, look, you got to think long term.
Yeah.
You got to think long term. You got to think what value is it? And then even when I deal with women now, I'm always thinking, okay, what am I bringing her?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a young lady I was dating last year, but without getting into it, there were some directions she wanted to go in. I wasn't ready to go in yet. But the first thing as we were breaking up, the first thing I was asking her was, okay, have I done anything to make things better for you? And she had to admit, yeah. Gave her a different perspective. It's like, okay, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would like when I look at a lady. I got to say, okay, what is she bringing me? Now, if I meet somebody and I don't feel like they bringing me something, I never count the sex. You can get sex with anybody if you really think about it. But is she what's she bringing to my spirit?
Right.
And that's the main thing. And I still take responsibility as a man. Because okay, let's talk about that nice guy thing. You get a lot of men who blaming the women, like they doing this, they running this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, she forcing you, she holding a gun to your head. And in this world, like you got some guys who think women running this world. I mean, seriously, that's how much they are. And I'm like, I'm sorry to say, the patriarchy ain't gone nowhere. The people at the top are still men.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a long time before it goes any place. So at some point as men, we got to take responsibility. A man has responsibility for his life. And even if I've even talked with guys who were dogs,
Mm-hmm.
I've talked with some guys, I've actually counseled some men who were straight dogs. They weren't the best of guys. And I said, look, you treated that woman that way. She didn't do anything to you. You got to take responsibility. In fact, I've talked to some men and they've actually apologized to women that they've hurt. Because I said, you're affecting her for life. You might even get to the spirit world. You're going to have some issues.
Mm-hmm.
You need to talk to that woman and say, explain yourself. There's only you get back with her
Mm-hmm.
and you ain't being a simp, but you taking responsibility for your actions. See, for a nice guy to rise, he has to take some responsibility too.
Right.
And that's a man thing. That's a man thing. That's a very important thing.
Well, let me ask you a question too, going back to
Okay.
the money thing. And
Okay.
also wanted to say to your point about you can really mess that woman up. There's a book called Attached. I don't know if you've ever read it. I can't remember the name of the author now, but they did some relationship science research on relationships. And one of the tasks in the book is to go through every person you've dated, even if it's only been 2 dates or you dated for a
Okay.
week, and you write down that person, the quality of the relationship, kind of like an assessment of the relationship, like, how they were to you. Did you,
Okay.
what value maybe did they bring, that sort of thing. And
Okay.
it's talking about the different attachment styles, like the avoidant
Okay.
attachment, the insecure attachment, the
Okay.
secure attachment. So you're kind of assessing what you are and you're assessing maybe what they are. And I was
Mm.
shocked to see that how many men that I had dated over the years, and there was only maybe 2 or 3 that were really just bad, like bad
Mm.
dogs, right? And yet
Mm-hmm.
they had so disproportionately skewed my view and the way that I interacted with men throughout the
Mm.
years. And I was
Mm.
so sad. I almost, had to do some grieving after taking that assessment to see that they had that much power, and they might have been just someone that only lasted a couple weeks or a couple months, and yet they were
Mm-hmm.
able to do that much damage in
Okay.
trusting men. And so I think that it's a couple bad eggs that are and they're the ones that are with the 15 women or the 20 women or the 30 women
Wow.
that are really making the rounds a lot of times. And so going back to the money thing, I think women often are using that will he pay for dinner as an assessment, because if he's dating 15 women that week, he's not going to be able to afford to buy dinner for all of them. But if he's buying dinner for you, that's kind of like one of those things. It's like, oh, okay, well, maybe he's not with so many people. So I think that is sometimes a standard for a woman, but also there's this and I also want to say that if a woman is really looking for a quality relationship and into a man, she's going to be happy to just go for a walk with him or chat on the phone and get to know
Right.
him. She's not expecting dinner, first date. But once it gets to that point where there's actually romance coming in, and romance can be picking flowers and bringing her a flower, it can be the sweet words and things that you say. It doesn't have to be money. But if he's proposing dinner, if he's saying, let's go out to dinner, but then doesn't pay for dinner, I think for many women, that's a big turnoff. So I was wondering what you were feeling about that. I have a friend who's a therapist, and she actually makes quite a bit of money. She's been really very successful in her business. And she said she went out with a date with a man, and he asked if she wanted to split the check. And she said in her mind, she was thinking, well, I could, but that's not going to make my pussy wet kind of thing. So it's like, do you want my pussy to be wet later or not? That kind of thing. So there is some sort of, programming in with women in that arena too. And especially growing up and our parents saying he should pick you up, he should drive, he should buy for, he should pay for dinner, all those things. So how do you feel about ancient versus modern day chivalry in that way?
Well, look, let me be clear. I
Mm-hmm.
keep my wallet in my pocket when I'm first getting to know the woman.
Mm-hmm.
But once I know her, I feel her and I feel good about her.
Mm-hmm.
I actually feel good provided.
Mm-hmm.
That's a natural part of a man anyway, to provide. And plus, I like to eat at expensive places. I'm like, baby, let's go to Ruth Chris.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind, because my thing is, if I invite you, I'm insulted if you even think about paying.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I don't have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you come to me and that's the goal, just to get to know me, I'm like, we can't get to know each other like that. We got food in our mouths. But we
That's
already
how I feel.
know each other. We know each other. We click. It's nothing to go, shoot. I was like, look, let's go get Ethiopia.
Mm-hmm. Eat with
She
the
don't
hand.
have to pay. It's like I said, she can leave wallet, everything at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I get insulted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hold up.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, hold up. We've been knowing each other all this time. You gonna pick up that check? Only
Mm-hmm.
time I don't have any problem if she do it if it's my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I don't mind being surprised. I'll be
Mm-hmm.
slightly uncomfortable, but I don't mind being surprised. But most of the time, I don't even think why it should even be a discussion. I'm just saying, don't hit me with that at first, because then I'm thinking, do you want me or do you want this dinner?
Absolutely.
And that's the only issue I have right there. Now,
Mm-hmm.
we already together. Shoot, we in a relationship. We done made love. We done levitated and all of that. Yes, I want to eat that Ethiopian. I want to sit there and chill. That's like, go ahead and order some more. She might suggest some place. Okay, I got it. But it's a real expensive place and stuff. It could cost several hundred.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll make the reservation. It's just like, come on. No, but a man, because I'm gonna tell you what, there's a part of a man that still has to provide for a woman. Like something that's talked about, it's not talked about as publicly, but in our circles, we talk about the house of the man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a natural thing. And I mentioned it earlier, to protect the woman, to have vision, to bring, be able to see the future, be able to bring a woman's vision to life.
Mm-hmm.
And even when we lead in, it's because we see the path. So we're protecting the woman walking that path to provide. We're the hunters. We're the hunters. We're the ones that go out and get the food. Used to me in indigenous cultures, we literally get the food, bring it back, and y'all tear it up. Y'all deal with it. We go get the money. And then y'all really the managing the money.
Mm-hmm.
And then the healer. Part of that is making sure that you're in your best state, but also just making love to a woman. There's nothing wrong with that. The thing is, let's go back to that providing thing. It's just been twisted.
Mm-hmm.
It should be in the context of a family anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, there's nothing wrong with spending money on dates and stuff, but it shouldn't be the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
As far as paying dinner, that shouldn't be the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I've said the first interaction between a man and a woman really should be something neutral where money isn't spent. Let's go someplace and talk. Let's go to a park and talk. Well, let's just talk. Mm-hmm. Because that's what you need to do. Y'all need to get to know each other. It doesn't have to be over food. It doesn't have to be. In fact, you not, because there's too much of a focus on it. It shouldn't be at the movies. Right. It shouldn't be at the movies. It should be at a place where you and the other person can sit and look each other in the eyes and find out, talk to each other first. And then everything else build from that. Mm-hmm. She might like doing some things. Okay, let's go. He might like doing some things. Then they start sharing the activities they like to do, maybe showing each other something new. Mm-hmm. But when somebody's coming up saying, oh, you got to pay and everything from the get-go, that person just wants food. I remember I met a woman one time. She had a list of 95 restaurants she wanted to go to. And then thought I had a problem when I said, we're not going to one. Mm. She had we barely talked to each other. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, we had each other's phone numbers, but the conversations were extremely superficial. There was no vibe there. Mm-hmm. If I don't feel that vibe, I don't feel good being around that person. If I feel good at being around that person, I don't have a problem spending any money. Mm-hmm. I'll be the one wanting to spend money. I've dated some women like in recent years. They were good if I just got them, something from a quick takeout place or something. I was the one like, oh no, we got to check out this restaurant. Mm-hmm. But I felt good with the young ladies. So speaking of that vibe, I have another question, and I'm looking at the time too, so I know we're almost at the top of the hour. And also, oh gosh, more comments here. Kirti's saying, can you break down the concept of Manosphere? I keep hearing it, and I'm curious if you are hearing it too. And then Manny Rodriguez says, thanks, Tosh and Rom. So we're getting some love here. The Manosphere. And that was something I've been associated with. Mm-hmm. For a bit. It's just basically it's men, it's wide. A lot of it's focused, some is focused on picking up women, some is focused on talking trash about women. Then you have some fringes where they focus just on making money. And I do mean a fringe that way. And then on different things might be politics. It's just YouTube channels, blogs, podcasts, just focus primarily, I'll just say primarily on men's issues. There are some positive parts. There's a lot of negative parts. It depends on which section you're going to be in. It's a big tent. Okay. And it can be, if you can find the right parts, it's positive. Okay. Very positive. They're talking about politics. They're talking about growth. Someone like me is talking self-improvement, even though I think I've been officially kicked out. So about women. So I don't care, but you do have different groups and stuff, but then you get some people associated with it just because they're men and they don't even know what that manosphere is. So it depends on what part you want to be in. And we can go a little bit past the hour. Okay, good. Yeah, because I do have a bit of a burning question because you're talking about the vibe, if you're feeling that vibe, right? So I think this can happen regardless of what gender you are. But let's say you're a man on a date and you're feeling that vibe. And you want to, you're in your head kind of a little bit like, I don't want to be too nice. Like I want to show up with that fire. I want to show her I'm attracted to her, but not be too pushy or turn her off. What sorts of things are you noticing about that woman to know that she's going to be receptive to maybe some flirtation or kind of, pushing things a little bit further? Because I know I've been with men who are way too pushy. And then I've been on a date with men who I was very attracted to, but refused to make a move. So I wasn't sure if they were into me, and I didn't want to be the one taking the lead, if that makes sense. Like you said, men are looking towards the future and they're leading. Well, here's the thing, and it's important for men. It's really tough. Many men, at least because of how society is, where everybody's in their smartphone or on their computers or not really interacting. And this was before the COVID lockdowns. Many men have grown up without learning how to read a woman's body language. It's all going to be in your energy. You know, if the guy's sitting there and the woman's like this, or the woman's looking in her smartphone, just occasionally looking up, he probably should just get the check and go if he, bothered to pay for like something or anything. How's her body language? Now, one thing, when a woman's with her arm folded, a lot of people take that as being like she's not interested or she's defensive. She could just be cold. So a man still has to read her body.
To mention that as someone who runs cold.
Yeah. So he still has to read her body language. How is she? Is she smiling? Is she? And a male exotic dancer taught me this. Are her breast and her vagina pointed towards him? How is she? Is she open? Is she relaxed, or she's defensive? He has to really pay attention. Is she laughing at what he's saying? Is she touchy? Is she leaning into him? And it takes a while to practice it because, the woman could just be leaning into him so she can get more of a meal. I don't know. He'll be running game on him. But he has to pay attention. Now, one of the main things a man has to do is just be honest about his intentions. If she's showing that she's receptive, she's looking him in the eye. She isn't defensive. Her body language is relaxed. He can say, whatever. Depends on the vibe. Depends on the vibe. I mean, it can even go as far as them having sex after, whatever they're doing. But it depends on her vibe. He has to pay attention. The main thing is, how comfortable is she behaving around him? How is she answering his questions? How excited is her conversation? Is she just giving him one syllable answers like, yeah, no, all of that, while he's talking about whatever, But the main thing is how receptive. That's very important. And it's tough for men. Honestly, it's tough. You don't really have much in the public that teaches a man this. He has to learn it. And that's one thing I've told men. I tell men anyway, pay attention. Every single time you interact with a woman, record it. And it's still tough. It's still tough, but it gets easier over time.
Well, I think that really straightforward approach is his odds are going to be a lot better, because even if he's only looking for sex that night, or there's women out there who are looking for the same, so he's going to have better odds of actually getting that and not offending a woman if he's straight up about that in a respectful way. Because then she can choose whether she's down or not. Or, if he's wanting to be straight up, like maybe this is kind of scary for women who are just kind of taking, just testing the waters. But if he's like, yeah, I want children and I want to be married, or whatever else, she might be like a little bit scared about the pressure, but at least the conversation's out there right away about intentions. And then I think a lot of people are just, in between, and maybe they could go either way, but if they meet the right person, they'll be inspired to go the distance, like you were saying, your soulmate or your match, your energy match.
Well, what I would recommend for any men listening is go with the flow. Don't first of all, don't go into that date or whatever thinking, okay, this is going to happen A, B, and C. And I recommend that for women too. See what happens. Sometimes it might be a situation you go in and all of a sudden, boom, everything's down. Then it might be another situation like, okay, let me look at my watch. Let me get out of this. That's cool. Go with the flow with it. Don't go in with a preconceived notion. And also, powerful thing, if you don't, your magnetism, your energy actually flows better. Because when you have a preconceived notion, you kind of force your energy into a box. You just never know what's going to happen. You're more open. You're more relaxed. I can talk better, because if a man's more relaxed, then the woman will tend to be more relaxed. Not always, but tend to be more relaxed. She's opened up, then y'all can really get to know each other. But if both parties are going in with preconceived notions of what's going to happen, it probably won't.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, when I met my king, it was interesting because I actually had a date scheduled the next morning after many months of not dating, probably almost 2 years of sparsely dating. And so I, going back to your client who had the several women that he was dating, when I stopped giving my attention to men, my business really took off. So I was putting that energy into my business. My business is going well, but then at a certain point, I'm like, okay, like I think it's time. I don't want to end up being a spinster. And so I said I would never go back on dating apps again, but I did go on Hinge, and I ended up meeting, talking to many lovely people, but meeting 4 men in particular who were very sweet and very nice, and also that I was interested in seeing in person. I was ready to like, okay, let's get together, or talk on Zoom or whatever else. And so I just started to schedule some dates. And the next morning, and I met my king through a mutual friend, and she was coming to visit, and ended up bringing him with over to my house. It was kind of a last minute thing where she's like, can we stay at your place? Well, the two things that he was able to get me really quickly, and to the point where I didn't go on any of those other dates, is that he was very, he let me know he was interested. It was very clear to me that he was attracted and interested. So he let me know that pretty quickly. And then he was very clear with his intentions. Like he, you know, he took a shot, and I was like, he's genuine. He's kind.
And that's very good.
And I knew exactly what he was, you know, that he was interested in me, and and so I was like, is this someone that I'm interested in, or that I might like to explore? And I thought, yeah, I think so. And so he really took the lead and allowed me the choice also to, you know, say yes or no. And so that to me is always such an attractive quality, is just that assertive man. So I don't know, it might be different for other women, but I think, you know, we love to know that a man is attracted to us without it being slimy or creepy or whatever, that he's attracted to us, but that he's also going to respect us.
Well, and that's perfect. And that's a general thing. That's a general thing. And that's when a man, bringing it back around, that's why a nice guy, he still needs to be assertive, because I'm quite sure you've probably encountered it. Many women have encountered that guy who was interested in them, but he never said anything. He never did anything. And then that same nice guy get mad when some other guy comes in there and is very assertive and everything. In fact, I talk about that in my book, Nice Guys and Players. Sometimes if you meet somebody, well, most of the time, all the time, you meet somebody, at some point you need to let them know some, or at least ask them out, do something. A lot of nice guys actually, they put themselves in that nice guy role. They put themselves in that friend zone role. It's not the woman, because even when you're interested, a man still needs to be assertive. You still need to feel like this man will be assertive. He will be masculine. So that's what your king did, and it worked.
And I mean, now we're living together, and it's, you know, it still works, because he's still in that masculine energy. And I notice he's actually very talented in the way that he can be so nurturing and so giving and so adoring, but still create that tension, right? And that
that's important.
and not that he's not being a pushover. He's his own man. He's very clear, and a lot of it is being upfront. He's clear about his needs, desires, intentions. You know, what, even when it is about what do I want to do today, or how do I want to spend the day today, but also taking, you know, what I need into consideration. So that's a very attractive quality. So that's what I wanted to mention also for folks that are in a relationship, or they're in it for the long term, is that this stuff that you're talking about, this magnetism, the desires, like you're constantly having to refine it and keep it strong, just like your body, just like going to the gym and working out, because it does have those payoffs.
Okay. Definitely. Yeah, it's starting to get a little later now. You had any final questions for me?
Well, let me ask, I think we still have a couple of viewers. I'll see if anybody else has a question. I think I'm pretty clear. And you've given so much value. Speaking of high value man, given so much value to me, to our viewers today, and answered lots of questions about the subtleties of these things, because there's these folks that go out and they make movies about it or write books about these very rigid rules, right, of dating, or how to create a woman, and then they always backfire, because there's, like you said, you have to stay in the flow. It's an energy. It's about noticing what's really happening rather than sticking to these certain rules, but I think there are good, general guidelines in these things. So
Yeah,
let's see. Yeah, it doesn't look like anybody um, else has any questions.
that's okay. Thank you.
There's a little bit of a delay, but so yeah, tell people where to find you. What are you you said you're accepting clients when people reach out sometimes, but
Yeah.
what's your main thing that you'd like people to check out that you're putting out? What's your passion?
Well, got so many things. One of the things you can find me, the hub for everything I do is at www.romwills.com.
Mm-hmm.
www.romwills.com. And that's everything on YouTube. Just type in Rom Wills and a bunch of stuff will come up. I have like 4 channels. But then I got channels offline too. So romwills.com, that's my hub for everything. So
Okay.
you can just go there. And I would just say this, on ending, my main thing is just building a culture where everything we're talking about now is the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Not and it's building. We have beautiful women such as yourself. We have beautiful women such as my dear sister Kiriti,
Mm-hmm.
her king so far, your king.
Mm-hmm.
The more we bring people in who are walking a different path, that creates a tidal wave. That creates first a wave, then a tidal wave that will wash over the entire planet. Now, people
Beautiful.
might not think that, but if you have a critical mass, once you get a critical mass of people doing something different, it makes a change, and that's my main thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can hit it. Like some people see some of my car videos I do on my YouTube channel. They say, shoot, every word out of mom's mouth, every other word is a curse word. I can come off as coarse, but it's kind of like there's always a method to my madness.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a method. Sometimes you got to be a little trickster and you draw people in one way, but then they're like, oh, wait, this is what you're really getting into. Okay. And
Right.
I shift. I'm one of those people. I can do the level, so I can go metaphysics, or I can go in a barbershop. I can get raw with the fellas.
Yeah. Well, multifaceted.
Yes.
That's what it is. That's the definition of a diamond too. Lots of different edges. So that's beautiful.
Yes.
Kirti's saying, thank you for this, super valuable, and it's nice to get candid, heartfelt answers. I agree.
Thank you. Thank you,
The
my dear sister.
wave, the wave metaphor is beautiful. Absolutely. Shafar, Kirti are doing things to create that wave. You're doing
Always.
things. I'm doing things.
Yes.
For those women out there who are wanting to heal the trauma that happened from some of these bad boys, I offer a 12-week group
Okay.
online with my partner. We got the divine masculine, divine feminine
That's great. That's
going
great.
on. So
So
everybody knows where to find me. I hope you'll come on again, Ram, sometime in the
anytime.
future and talk. I would really love to dive into some of these other topics that you teach about as well.
Okay, definitely, because and I'll just say, okay, yeah, people know me for talking about relationships, but believe it or not, I can talk about money on here too, how to
All
make that
right.
money, and it is actually some metaphysics behind that, so
I
I
love
can
that.
do that, um, because money is ultimately a currency, it's an energy, so I can get into that. We can just talk just straight metaphysics here if we want to talk, but we can get deep. That's one of the things with me. I got different things for different people depending on their level of evolution.
I
And
love
that's because I had to go through it. I had to
yeah.
build up myself.
Well, yeah, when you have the life experience and those wisdom years, it's like so valuable. This is the time of life where we get real juicy and ripe, right? Where we have
Yes.
things to share.
Yes.
And I love the money talk, particularly because I follow astrology, where Uranus and Taurus right now, Taurus is the divine feminine, that's Mother Earth.
Mhm.
Uranus is the change maker. It's shifting the way that we look at how we treat the earth, how we treat the feminine, and also it's impacting money because Taurus is the money sign, it rules money. So it's everything's shifting right now and it's all interconnected. So I would love to dive deeper into the energetics of money because I think it's a very timely topic right now. It could be really helpful for a lot of people. And as
Okay.
Shofar says, too, that this whole pandemic and the stress and the tension, he said that even the racial tension, all the tension is like this big orgasm waiting to pop,
Mm.
and literal orgasm can heal all of this tension and create a whole different society. So I love the intersection of all these topics. So I think that's a great place to pick up again. So
Okay.
whenever you're ready, we're here every Monday, 7 p.m., Pacific Standard. And yeah, thank you so much. Just really an honor and a pleasure.
It was an honor to be on here. Thank you.
All right. We'll talk again soon.
Yes, we will.